We back, baby, with another reflection on the Daily Vedantic. Kapow! 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 For listeners that didn't get to see that on YouTube, I'm not even going to tell you what I just did. You're going to go have to check it out. Hit that like and subscribe while you're there as well. Today's reflection. This reflection is related to the t-shirt that I'm wearing, that I've worn on these episodes before, sometimes covertly, underneath a shirt that I was wearing on top. This is the Yoga for Your Intellect, the YFYI shirt that we printed 2 years ago or so, and handed them out to the Venice Vedanta Club and other listeners of Yoga for Your Intellect. That is the long-form conversational podcast that I have with one of my teachers, Joseph Emmett. Just a couple of Texans talking Vedanta, the timeless Indian philosophy. Really, it actually doesn't belong to any place on earth. It just is this timeless philosophy that keeps coming up over and over again in nearly every major world tradition. As Aldous Huxley called it, the perennial philosophy. But within this conversation that we will have in our episodes of Yoga for Your Intellect, there was one exchange that we had. Actually, I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was over text, not in an episode, where I texted Joseph years ago, way before making this t-shirt. And I said, let's get realized. And he replied with a mic drop moment that haunts me to this day. I look at it in the back of this t-shirt and it just blows me away. And the back of the T says it right there beneath, I think it's a sunrise that I designed. Is it a sunrise? It is a sunrise. And the t-shirt says, let's get realized. And below that, his response that he sent over text, which was, there is literally nothing else to do. Let's get realized. I think on the t-shirt I said, because there is literally nothing else to do. But in that text thread, man, that was so impactful. Because as the Buddhists say, there are the 10,000 things that we want, 10,000 different things that we're chasing. But really at the heart of all of them, each of those 10,000 are just, as this philosophy would say, misguided mumukshutva. Misguided pursuit of the higher. You go after that career, you aim to have a child or find that significant other, that romantic partner that's going to complete you, that bowl you're about to smoke at the party with old Johnny Hopkins. Whatever it is, it's a mumukshutva, a pursuit of the higher. A pursuit from this experience, this limited experience here, driven by this awareness deep down that we're not meant for this limited experience, that it is not our natural state. And whether it is that career or whether it is that spliff you're about to light up at Johnny Hopkins' house, and anything and everything in between, the 10,000 things. It's the pursuit of realization, of that realized state, that return to the natural state of which we each have come from and eventually will return to. Trying our hand with trial and error at 1,000, 10,000 different ways of getting back there. Most of the time, trying our hand at shortcuts, or what we think are shortcuts. There is this story that I heard recently of Ramakrishna, who's a great sage from the 19th century. And Ramakrishna was asked by a follower that said, what do you say to someone that says that their path alone is the only path? Because within this philosophy, and Ramakrishna had previously been talking about the fact that any path, there are as many paths to the divine as there are people on earth. Within this philosophy, there are many paths to the top of the mountain. One might walk through something like Christianity, a very devotional, as within this philosophy you'd say bhakti-esque approach, devotional approach. Maybe you have a Kabbalist, a Jewish mystical worldview that is much more around the non-dual. Maybe you have Hesychism, which is Greek Orthodox, which is the Christian mystic sect. You have the Vedantin, the Buddhist, the Jainist. You have these different approaches to the divine, to the higher. And contrary to most worldviews, according to this philosophy, there are as many paths to the divine as there are people on earth. We are all wired for specific paths. As it's said within Advaita Vedanta, 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000 will find these concepts, these principles interesting. But it's also said for those that do, nearly nothing is as interesting. So this follower asks Ramakrishna, what do you say to someone that says their path is the only path? And his answer is so simple, beautiful, profound, as is often the case with any enlightened sage. He said, when you are an adolescent, you might call out Papa. But when you are an infant, just learning how to speak, you might say Pa. But each are crying out for their father. Each of us are crying out for the divine, our Father. Which is an interesting choice of words because Ramakrishna actually viewed the divine as mother. But he also wholly converted to Christianity, Judaism. He did each major world tradition for a few years at a time to show the inclusivity of his worldview. And he did it fully as far as the stories go, did them fully. It was not for show. But what a response. We're each on the path. There is nothing else to do. But beyond this path, and the path might be an addiction to substances. The path might look like buying that red, fancy, fast car. It might be the workaholism and a financial milestone that you think is going to give us freedom from the limited state that we experience. But whichever it is, we are calling out for the Father. Disavowing some people in the out group, saying that only people within the in group that we happen to be a part of are on to the path of truth, whatever it is. We're calling out to the Father. We are trying to get back to that state that we came from, and according to this philosophy, are destined to return to, our mumukshutva in its infinite forms. That is today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.